everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend, my dear friend, Victoria Reynolds. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Kathy.
So today we're going to talk about her new program, which is unbelievably wonderful, you guys. I'm so excited about it, and I want to make sure that you understand how cool this thing is. And it's called 6D, which is Dimension Money Tree. And so today I thought we'd start, Victoria. First of all, you want to introduce a little bit about yourself? You're a luminary. You're amazing. You're amazing light in the world. And I met you 10 years ago, was it?
Yeah.
And we automatically right away we were in a class, and I ended up sitting next to you and helping you um, uh, because the instructor was kind of mean. Um, I'm being nice. I am being very nice. But anyway, but we survived it, and we actually did it. We did everything we were supposed to. But anyway, so and I recognized you right away as an angel. I recognized your energy, and I don't know how I have that superpower, but I do. And even I think more than you knew you were an angel at that time, you were just starting to know. So let's start with what you do and how you show up in the world, and then we'll go on to the dimension question.
Okay.
Okay.
So I am a spiritual luminary. I didn't coin that for myself. I actually had a couple of students say that's what I was. So I decided, obviously, that apparently that's a term I intend to use. I actually don't like labels. I find labels really frustrating. And I think because I recognize them as egoic based.
Yep.
And so there was, I've been teaching for the last 10 years. I wrote my first book. Well, I wrote it in 2010, but how the publishing industry works, it didn't get published until 2012. But so I've been writing and speaking for the last 10 years. And I didn't like any of those other labels, guru, expert, coach. They all just did not, they might work for other people. They didn't work for me. They felt too ego based. And so when someone brought this term luminary into my field, I was like, oh, that feels good.
Yeah.
That feels right. I'm here to help illuminate the world, and I'm here to help guide humanity into spiritual freedom. And so, yes, as the angel, there's an aspect that I have not, as you know, it's taken me a while to come out of the closet as an embodied angel, because it's not something people talk about every day. And so that is who I am. I'm actually the Victoria Elohim of freedom in this physical embodiment, and I'm here to help free humanity from the fear-based reality that we've been living in for about the last 11,000 years.
Well,
so that's, in a nutshell, who I am and what it is I do. I have a TV show, Fearless and Free TV. I have 4 books that I've written, and each one of them are based in the freedom of humanity from one aspect or another. And also part of what I'm here to teach in the realm of freedom is also financial freedom. But I teach financial freedom from a different perspective from the way other people teach it. I teach financial freedom from a spiritual perspective.
Right. Oh, perfect. And I have to say, when I met you, I could see your aura as a rainbow. So that was part, I mean, I felt you because I'm a feeler. But I could, and I don't see that all the time. I don't see people's auras. Sometimes I'll see it gray if they're sick, but I don't always see it if they're healthy. And you had a rainbow. It wasn't a unicorn, but really, really cool. So I have benefited by your spiritual teaching and your capacity to explain the the things I feel and put them into words so that others and myself can actually start to integrate the mind and the heart, because I feel it, but I have trouble expressing it. And you have put words to a lot of the experiences or the sensations I have. And I appreciate that so much, Victoria.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate those words. I gratefully receive them.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay. So, you have created lots of books. You have a wonderful free book called Rising Up on your website, and I'll put your website and all the information in the chat in a minute or two. And I do recommend that everyone do go to Victoria's website and to her YouTube channel, and you'll see that she's had a prolific amount of information there for you, that if you're just starting out or if you are more experienced, it'll meet you wherever you are. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, okay, so today I wanted to talk about dimensions because there's all this stuff out there about, we're in 3D, we know that. 2D is what you see when you see a drawing on a piece of paper. 3D is us with time, space, and volume. And then 4D, 5D, and 6D, I'd love if you could help us understand, because you're so good at articulating it, what these other dimensions are so that people can understand those that choose are going to a higher vibrational reality, which gives us a different perspective on life. So, and you chose, instead of doing a 5D money tree, you chose to create a program that's way out of most people's reality, the 6D money tree. So could you talk about the dimensions a little bit so everyone can follow your thought process, please?
Sure. So the 3D reality is, as you mentioned, it's this physical reality,
Uh-huh.
and we've been living in a fear-based, what some people call a fear-based matrix. My understanding is for about the last 11,000 years. That's when we, as a collective of souls, agreed to experience fear as a mechanism for growth. It got a little out of control. It was never meant to be this fearful. However, we've been living in this fear-based reality, and that is part of this third dimension. The dimensions are actually dimensions of consciousness. So when people think about dimensions, they tend to think about dimensions as another place that you exist. This is dimensions or densities of consciousness. So this reality that we're in right now is very dense. It's very heavy. And that's also part of fear, as well as fear-based beliefs, and the fear experience is very dense and constrictive, and it's hard to work with because it's so heavy and restrictive. So manifestation tends to be, it's the old term hard work. The term hard work is part of that 3D uh, density. Now, as we start to break through the veil, and what religions were calling the veil, that I refer to as the veil of deception, which holds us in this density. Once we pop up above that, we start moving into 4D, and 4D is where our consciousness is able to see what isn't physically real and experience what isn't physically real. So the 4D is where a lot of people start to see ghosts. They start to have their psychic abilities are activated. That's where people start to experience telepathic communication with ETs and with angels. That's also where the demons start to manifest. So people are starting to see demons. It's because those are all 4D. It's a non-physical density. It's lighter than this physical one that we're in. Now, the lower 4D is where you find those heavier, darker energies. As we move up the spiritual spiral, where we're heading is 5D, which is a density of love and light consciousness. It's very light. It's very loving. It's very free. So we'll still be in a physical body, but our physical bodies are actually shifting into light bodies. So as our physical body shift, and I know a lot of people are experiencing this, we don't need as much food. We have zero interest in food that is lower vibration. So low vibration foods are foods that have chemicals added to them, that have been genetically modified, alcohol, and drugs, any of that stuff. Like the desire for it disappears
I
because
don't need it. I'm already high.
yeah, and the body is actually changing too. So as the body changes, we're start to only crave high vibration foods because we're now in a high vibration body. So we're still in the same physical vessel, but it actually can start to feel different. I've had people say they've lost 100 pounds. It just falls off because the consciousness itself is shifting. So as we're going up this 4D spiral, some people call it a bridge between 3D and 5D. I look at it more of going upward. We're going up this 4D spiral. We're dropping and leaving behind everything that doesn't serve the higher vibrations. So anything that's heavy and oppressive, or what I refer to as fear-based beliefs, starts to get left behind because we can't take our baggage with us into the 5D.
Perfect.
5D is this beautiful space. Again, we're leaving actually the old world behind. It doesn't mean we're jumping on a spaceship and going to a new planet. There's some people that think that that's not the way it works, is that we're leaving everything behind that isn't that higher density, that isn't that higher consciousness. And that a lot of times that involves leaving relationships behind, leaving beliefs behind, leaving jobs behind. It's letting go of all of that 3D baggage. And 5D is where we vibrate at this love and light, and where we're going to be creating this new earth consciousness is actually 5D, where fear basically ceases to exist.
Right. Perfect.
6D is another level of consciousness, and that is where instant manifestation occurs.
Yeah.
So my understanding when 6D was first shown to me in this physical experience is that it is where time and money are inconsequential. And it took me a minute to grasp that. I'm like, wait a minute, time and money are inconsequential. They're inconsequential to the human experience in that what we desire, what we envision, what we wish to manifest isn't hindered in any way by the 3D constructs of time and money. So time and money are 3D constructs.
Right.
Once we are able to pull our consciousness out of those, we start to understand, oh, got it. Okay. Money is a tool for, it's an energetic tool for reciprocation. That's all it is. It isn't something that needs to be hoarded, and greed is based in the belief that there's lack and the need for control. And time is actually a measuring device that is used to control our energy. It's nothing more than that.
Yeah.
And as we move into the 5D, we'll begin to understand that time really is irrelevant, because we'll be following our body's natural rhythms rather than following the constructs of time. And in the 6th dimension, time and money are irrelevant in that we can instantly manifest in the 6th dimension.
Right.
That's where what I call the field of creation, or the womb of creation, exists in this 6D. So whenever we have a vision, a dream, a wish, a thought, if we hold a thought long enough, it starts to become seeded, if you will, and it gets planted in this creative field, in the 6th dimensional field. And if we feed it all the right stuff, if you will, it actually manifests. Now, manifesting something small and manifesting something large is just as easy. It's as the divine feminine explained to me, it's just as easy to grow a bonsai tree as it is to grow an oak tree.
Perfect.
So size doesn't really matter. what sometimes takes time in our collective understanding of time is that when it involves a lot of different people and a lot of working parts, then it will take a bit more time to manifest. If it's something individually, it can be instant. It can be, that's why we can have a thought of, oh, and this is what's weird. Sometimes we can have a thought, and then a couple of minutes later, it shows up on the internet on our news feed. It's like,
That's
oh,
right.
that
Of course.
is Google reading my mind?
Synchronicities, right?
Right. So it's not that Google's reading our mind, it's that now as we raise our consciousness, manifestation gets quicker and quicker and quicker.
That's right. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, and the more we let go of the baggage from the lower densities, the faster manifestation can occur because we're no longer trying to apply our baggage to it.
Well, I think what's good about what I know about the way that you've structured your class, because I've gotten to take it, is that everything that you're offering is a way to be in alignment with your highest wishes, your biggest desires, your heart's desire. And when you're energized with that, it has to land. I mean, that's where I think what we're stopping ourselves. We've got the law of attraction. Yes, we know it's a law, just like gravity, just like other laws in the universe, which we probably don't know all of them from our little Earth viewpoint. But the thing is about, we have these discordant energies where that we don't even know our subconscious is running, where we might have heard our parents say something, money is evil, or we heard it in church, and we're not conscious that we're running that. So when we get money, it's evil. Ooh, get it away, or we give it away, or we spend it haphazardly. And what happens is this process allows you to clear more and more and more of that discordant so that you're laser focused on what you want. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So like you were saying, we have these beliefs that are running. It's like running a program on your computer. So you and I are looking at each other and we have this surface program. We're like, oh yeah, this is all fine. It's all great. It's all good. Having a great time. But there's like a virus that's running in the background that we don't even know is hacking our computer.
Yep.
Right? So it's the same kind of thing. We, on the surface, it's like, yeah, those beliefs are ridiculous. I don't believe them anymore. But on a subconscious level, they're still running the show. So part of this program is getting in and really locating all of those fear-based beliefs and bringing them to the surface so we can resolve them, because as long as they're still running the show, it's basically like having a disease on your money tree. So the reason I use money tree as a symbology for growing prosperity, because we've been using it for thousands of years. Money doesn't grow on trees. I beg to differ. Money actually does grow on trees. And I show people how money actually does grow on trees. But any of those fear-based beliefs actually create a dis-ease on our creative fields. And anything that we grow in the field of creation, if we haven't navigated the fear-based beliefs, they will impact our ability to create. So we are all creators. We are all created in the image of the divine creator. And in that, we are creators. Human beings are creative species. That is actually how we're made in the image and likeness of the divine creator. We are creators. So we all have access to this creative field to create in the same way that source does. But our beliefs actually block our ability to create to our fullest divine potential. That's why I have at the beginning of the program, it's all about prepping the field, right? In order to grow something magnificently, we got to prep the field first by pulling the weeds of negative thoughts, so to speak.
So I want to let you know that Vicki Helm is here, and I think you loved. I introduced her to you, you to her. She wrote down, does manifestations happen consciously and unconsciously at a more rapid pace?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the higher we raise our consciousness, the more we have to be careful what we think and what we speak.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think this is part of what the excitement that I have is number one, that you're talking about 60, when I think all healers work in 60 and above.
Hmm.
I think that that's they don't even realize it. My friend who passed, April Fontina, used to talk about that she was a fairy, and she would go. She lived in the seventh dimension, but she had to be down here. And so I knew sixth and seventh was where she was working. If she couldn't get the person's vibe up to seventh, she was working in sixth. And so when you said that you were going to do the 60 money tree, it was, yeah, it's time to do that. Everyone's talking about fifth dimension, but they're not really talking about the capacity for humanity to go higher. And you are, and you have experienced it. Did you learn this from being a walk-in, from being angelic? How did
Well,
you learn
it's
this?
interesting because the walking experience has taken a while for me to integrate, because my personality self was still very much, was like having two bus drivers. So the personality self was still navigating her story and her relationships and her beliefs. And I, as the higher self, was in here also trying to teach her how to navigate these experiences. So when she would have difficulties, she would speak, call in the higher self to show her, which was actually me. I just have now come down and fully integrated into this body. So that there is now not that all of me is here. This is what's interesting for people to understand. So my eighth dimensional self is now embodied in this body. However, when I need more direction, I will continue to go further up, because we exist across every dimension, all the way up to source.
Yes.
And so when I can't see something here, because sometimes things are too close to see, that saying, you can't see the forest for the trees kind of thing.
Yeah.
When something is too close, I will actually ask up, and I'll ask my ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th dimensional self. I call the part of me that can see from a 10,000 foot perspective, to show me what I can't see with these physical eyes. So even though my self is embodied here, and now the personality self has taken a back seat, when this program was created, it was through my understanding. So it's really interesting being physically embodied, and that I'll get quiet and I'll tune in and I'll ask for explanation, and then my stream of consciousness will remind me what it is I already know. Then it's like, oh right, aha, got it. The money tree program, parts of it were given to me by Einstein, because he wanted me to explain how the field of creation works in a way that anyone can understand. And so that anyone, even if you're not a scientist, can still understand how the field of creation works. Much of humanity is a very, very young species. And I know a lot of human beings don't understand this, but on a species level, we're, toddlers in a sense. So we're moving out of this, 3-year-olds who don't even know how to play nicely on the field with each other, moving now into the phase of 4 and 5-year-old, where we're learning communication and cooperation and compassion and working together. And so on a soul level, teaching this money program in a way that every human being can grasp,
Right.
no matter where they are spiritually or what their understanding is of science. This isn't science-based. Einstein's actually a very funny guy, by the way. So whenever he communicates with me, we kind of get a kick. apparently we're very good friends on the other side. And so he showed this to me in a way that anybody can understand and utilize. And that so the sixth dimension was explained to me by then tuning into to an even and higher aspect of myself to explain to me what 6D is, so that this human mind can grasp it, and so that I can teach it so that other human minds can grasp it.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So six dimensional training in while we're still in three or wherever we are, depending on who's taking the class. Um, Once they learn these tools, I just want to share that I think that once you learn the tools, you can apply it to every aspect of your life. In a lot of ways, it reminded me of the manifestation wheel that the Cherokee Indians use. That you could actually feel the energy spinning as you were doing it. That's the same kind of energy that's in your program because you can feel the up leveling as you're doing it. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? About the
Oh, yeah,
influence?
and I created that way intentionally. It is an up leveling that people go through, and I created as a way of using the field of creation to grow prosperity. But like you said, you can use it to grow anything. The field of creation can grow anything. We're using it as a money tree, as a metaphorical depiction of what happens in the physical reality. And it is an up leveling because each one of the steps build on the learning of the previous step.
Right, right.
And every one of these can be used in every aspect of our lives, whether it's prosperity, if it's relationships, if it's a job, if it doesn't matter. Manifestation is manifestation.
Right.
This is just another way of presenting it in a way that's different, and it's incredibly fun. This program is so much fun. I get such a kick out of creating it, and I went back and rebranded it about 6 months ago because I changed the color of the tree to purple, and I was like, this is so much fun. And the reason I made it so fun to go through is because Source has explained to me lightheartedness. I mean, if we even think about that term, it is about we're bringing in the light of Source into our heart, which is very light and very vibrant, and it's fun.
Right.
We are intended, it even says in the Bible, life is that we might have joy, not that men might have joy. Right? That we all might have joy.
Yes.
And that it's meant to be fun and joyful and playful, and we are intended to be like children. So I teach this program in a way that is like children. And so it's a little bit different than the manifestation wheel in that the tool itself is different.
Right. Yeah.
The energetic process is similar.
Well, I think that whether or not, even if people just took part of the class, they would benefit by the up level of the energy. And I think that, as you said, the class is a primer on how to live a happier, a happier life. And we're coming out of a time period where you feel a lot of people feeling victimized.
Mm-hmm.
The lockdown and feeling that they're waiting for their next check from the government in order to make ends meet, and this program makes you realize that you can do anything. You don't have to wait for anyone's permission. You get the download that, hey, cutting edge of creation wants to have this happen, and
Mm-hmm.
you take action. I believe that lots of people get the same memo from Source, and only a few act on it. But I think we're coming to that time period now where we're getting so many cool ideas, and it's like, how do you have enough time in the day to do all the fun stuff? And it isn't like, oh, I got to go do it. It's got this whole play. And in fact, your class has play shops.
Yeah. I don't like workshops. I was like, I it's I don't even refer to a lot of my work. The other program that I teach, I call it a learning lab because it's different than going to school and doing school work and
Yeah.
home work. Right? It's a completely different way to look at learning. Learning is intended to be fun, and human beings learn best through play.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make this as playful
Yes.
as possible.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I don't know where somewhere we as humanity forgot that human beings learn best through play. It's not just human beings, all animals, all life learns best through play. So
That's right.
I wanted to make this playful and
Right.
it actually integrates better. Here's one thing a lot of people don't understand. You might go to a workshop and you do the learning. Where the learning actually gets integrated is during the breaks between the classes. Schools need to have recess between every class, at
Oh,
least 10 to 15 minutes between every class for the kids to just go outside and play and whatever they do, because that's actually where the learning gets integrated. So I'm a really, really big proponent of learning through play. So this program is very playful.
right. That's why I think the internet and these periods that we're going through right now are like training wheels for until we can be telepathic and communicate on that level. And this course could be the first part of someone's training to get to that, because when you see how powerful your thoughts are and your desires when they're laser focused, how fast they can manifest, you start to really consider, well, autocorrect.
Right. Yes, exactly. I love that. So we start to get to the point where we'll catch ourselves having a negative thought. And then rather than dwelling on it, so what happens is when we have a thought, if we dwell on it, now my understanding is, and this I learned from Abraham Esther Hicks back in 2009, I think when I first discovered their work. I've known about the law of attraction. The personality self has known about the law of attraction since the 1980s. It didn't really learn how to apply it until 2009 after the 2008 economic crash and wanted to figure out, she wanted to figure out how to fix her life. And that's when we started communicating this. My higher self started communicating with my personality self. How to fix my life. And so the holding a thought for 17 seconds is what plants it in the womb of creation. So it's like where a thought merges and becomes fertilized, if you will, if you think like egg and sperm kind of thing. And then it gets planted in the field of creation or the womb of creation. And that's when it starts to actually become a physical possibility. So the more we dwell on a negative thought, that becomes created as well.
That's right. You're fueling it. When you go into a spin about something of, you're at Thanksgiving and one of your relatives says something, and you repeat it in your mind over and over again, and you can't, it's like you got to get off the Ferris wheel. You
And you're
can't,
actually creating it.
right, right, right. You're
So we can,
ingraining it in your field.
right. And so as soon as we have one of those thoughts, it's about catching and saying, no, I do not, this is not. If we catch it early enough, we can say, stop, rewind. That is not going to be my reality.
Right.
I choose to let that thought go. And so it's about catching those negative thoughts when they show up and not allowing them to even begin to plant in the fields.
So you started to mention about the timeline of this, and I think it would be really powerful for people to understand, because you discovered this really in 2008 after the big financial crash. And I know my business, I've been doing this for 21 years, and my business totally had to change in 2008. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you discovered this amazing process?
Well, it came in steps. So this particular program, I've taken everything I've learned over the last 10 years and compiled it into one program. When I mean, it goes all the way back to after the 2008 crash. So in 2008, I lost everything. I was on the verge of being homeless. My home was in foreclosure. We were in bankruptcy. My kids were both diagnosed with learning disorders. I had a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old at the time. And so my life was,
What else can happen?
I call it the holy shift. So I guess that's really what it was.
Yeah.
And so I started going out and walk. I was very, very, very depressed. I did not want to take antidepressants because one of the side effects is suicide. So it's kind of pointless to take something that for depression that might actually cause suicide. I don't do better living through chemistry. I don't
either.
And so I was like, okay, well then I have to find a way to fix my life. I need to be here for my children. So I need to find a way to fix my life. So I got the guidance through I talk about this in my book, Transcending Fear, where the guidance came from. It was standing in the pharmacy ready to fill a prescription for antidepressants. And I picked up a pamphlet that talked about serotonin, and low serotonin levels are the reason for depression.
Oh.
Right. So there's a part of me that has always known if there's a problem, then there's a way to fix it. So then I was like, well, then how do I raise my serotonin levels? Not through a chemistry experience. And so then I realized that it was caused that serotonin is produced by the adrenal gland. And what I needed was more exercise and sunshine. As a mom, I'd been sitting at home for years. So I started walking every morning. In my morning walks, this is when this information started coming in. Wow. At the time, I was calling it having a communication with my inner therapist, and then eventually realized, oh, I was actually having communication with my stream of consciousness going up, and the higher self explaining to the personality self how to fix her life. So I started walking, and one of those first things was the law of attraction. How do I make the law of attraction work for me? And that started being shown to me. And that's where my book, Transcending Fear, came from, was all of that. How it wasn't about how to use the law of attraction, but it was about how to remedy my then broken life. And then as I was out walking, that's when Einstein started communicating with me, because I had opened this telepathic channel to the higher self. And what happened when this telepathic communication opened up to the higher self, it also opened up my ability to communicate with other ascended masters.
Perfect.
And so that's where it started. He started showing me how things are created in the field of creation, and then showing me how money trees actually do work. And so I planted a money tree in my husband's office, as I call him. Planted a money tree in my husband's office, and I would meditate on that every day. And his business grew from nothing. I mean, we were, as I said, in the middle of bankruptcy and foreclosure, grew from a startup business to a now valued 8-figure company.
Wow. How long did that take?
Well, it took a few years in the beginning to build up the clientele, because it was starting from scratch, but then it started to hit a snowball. And I would sit and visualize the money tree. And I started out as just a little one, and it was in the front of his office, and it got to be about 6 feet high. And so I moved it into the warehouse, and it got taller. And then he moved to another office, and it ended up being like 3 stories high. It grows out of the top of the building. It's got all these big, gorgeous golden apples on it. And it took, once it started to hit like this snowball phase, to go from, I want to say 2010, within 2 years, it went from us, making ends meet, because we were able to save our house. We pulled it out of foreclosure the day before it went to auction.
Wow.
We had enough money to do that. And then within maybe a year, we were bringing home a over $10,000 a month. And that just started growing exponentially to the point where I'd go to checking out. I'm like, oh my God, we have so much money. We started being able to take vacations again. And then and what I discovered is that as more money came in, it actually increased my ability to create because I no longer had that heavy
Sure.
oppressiveness on me. And
That's
so as that oppressiveness was lifted, I was able to create more and more and more and more. This is why we, and I started to understand that the planet herself needs us to have money. This is actually a gift from, well, people understand that money is the physical representation of the energy of gratitude. Gratitude for service rendered.
yes.
And so when we realize it's this exchange of gratitude, it's actually the law of reciprocation that's at play. And that when we start to see money for the gift that it is and not for the evil that we've been told it is, it begins to flow easier and easier. And we use it. When money in the hands of love can change the world, the planet wants us to have money. It's actually a gift from her to us.
Right. And this
And
is
that's how we change the world. It's the greatest tool we presently have for transformation.
well, this is there's so many systems that are changing right now, and this whole inequality in society has lasted long enough, and so that's part of the reason I was so excited when you wanted to put together this class, and then you really put the pedal to the metal to do it. You're a great achiever, and the energy in it alone is worth it because of the healing that it'll do for anyone. This will heal your victimization
Mm-hmm.
programs. It'll create a different vibration in your system and in your environment. Printing out PDFs that have high vibe in them. I mean, there's a lot of alchemy in this class. It's not just, oh, take another class, although which I like to do, but it isn't that. It's so much more. It's so much more. And this is our time. I mean, we're in a transformation to go from um, the old systems to the Aquarian age systems, which are based on love, fairness, equality, and gratitude. And we need programs like this, in my opinion. We need programs like this to help us guide from the old world to the new world without chaos. This is not something that'll disrupt your family, your friends. This is something you do for yourself to see how powerful you really are, and what the design is that's possible in your life, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, as I said, this is it. It's designed. It's about prosperity. But what people need to understand is that prosperity isn't just money.
Right.
The term prosperity is about prospering. Everything in the universe is designed to prosper.
That's right.
And we've been living this reality that's feeding us the lie of lack.
Right. Right.
And so prospering is about, having a healthy, prosperous body, having a healthy, prosperous income, having a healthy, prosperous business, having a healthy, prosperous family. It's about all of who we are growing, thriving, and prospering
Exactly.
in every aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
So even though it's about the 6D money tree, it's really about thriving and prospering in every aspect of our reality. And the more of us who make that our new consciousness, we know that what we are, who we are inside, is what expands outward. And the more of us who change our consciousness about our own ability to prosper, the more that becomes the collective reality. I mean, really, the reason I really wanted to get this out here right now is because we are changing the world. And if we're going to change the world, it changes within ourselves.
Right.
Our beliefs, our thoughts, our feelings feed into the oneness, because we actually are all one. I mean, we might look like individuals, but we are all part of one singularity of consciousness. So what we feed our consciousness into the collective consciousness actually changes the collective consciousness. So we all have, in a sense, that individual responsibility. And the term responsibility actually means ability to respond.
Right.
We all have that responsibility to feed a new consciousness into the collective reality. The more of us who do that, the faster the new world, the new earth will manifest, because that's what we are creating by our own thoughts.
Right. We're anchoring it in, and it's just like the 4-minute mile. When no one thought that a human could run the 4-minute mile, then all of a sudden someone broke that record, and then all of a sudden a whole bunch of people could do it. Well, that's what we're in these changing times right now, where
Right.
we're changing the whole paradigm of victimization and control to self love and and co-creation with source at a very high level. And that, I believe, is my version of heaven on earth. That, and being able to read a whole bunch of books, is heaven. If I could just do the speed reading, yeah, that would be awesome, because I just think heaven has a bunch of books for me in it anyway. So
I
it,
love that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think what we're seeing is that your angelic knowledge is going to help us, no matter what our higher self is. We're all high vibe beings, and what this process does, it allows more of that to land here, and that's really important.
And that's exactly what it is. It's it's really what I call peeling off the layers of who we are not
Uh-huh.
to re-become who we always were. So every one of us is divine love having a human experience.
Yeah.
We just have forgotten that because of all the layers of fear-based beliefs that get put on top of that. As we peel those off, we become more and more of who we actually are.
Perfect.
And that the more of who we become, divine love having a human experience, the more we create a world that resonates with that frequency, with that vibrational frequency of heaven on earth. So it's funny, you're talking about heaven on earth for you is reading. Heaven on earth for me is sitting in front of the ocean or in front of a pool writing another book.
That's what I mean. It's
Yeah.
like when you think of, like, well, why don't I do that? I mean, it really, this is the thing. I believe that we have all been connected to our higher selves, either in dream state or in times of wonderful connection, but we don't always take the memo. We don't always get the memo or understand the memo, and that, or unpack it. And what happens is, you see people that have done Velcro and post-it notes, and you go, golly, I could have done that. Hula hoops, and all of this stuff, and they act on that memo. They act on that information. And now we're at a time where we can all tap into this. Your course is like the training wheels to teach people how to tap it, into everything that's an abundant life can offer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's interesting you talk about that. The visual I was just now getting is, in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, when they de-energize that little boy and he turns into little speckles that float across the top. That's what I was saying. So these ideas are always floating around in the air, and lots of people, I call it the imaginal realm. So the imaginal realm is up there actually that's even above 60. It might even be 7, right? Where all these ideas just float around before they come down into our consciousness. So
Uh-huh.
lots of people will get the idea. They'll go, oh, that's a good idea. And then it's gone. Some people get the idea and they go, oh, I'm going to do something with that.
Right.
That's why
Exactly.
sometimes you'll see people on 2 different sides of the planet come up with the same idea at the same time.
Exactly.
When the
Exactly.
ideas are just there,
I
it's
think
just
it's like we're an antenna, like a radio station,
right.
and whether you're dialed in or you're not, and with all these energies that are coming in, we're getting more and more and more dialed in. And that's why your course helps people deal, it'll help people on so many levels. It'll help them on dealing with all these energy surges. It'll help them on so many levels, and they'll have so much fun. That's the thing, is like, why not act like kids? Why not have giggle, wet your pants laughing? Why not?
I hadn't thought of this before, just as you were saying. This would be a really, really fun program to take with some of your friends.
Yep.
I never thought about that before. But if you take it with some friends and you're all doing the same play shop together, it could be really even like take that fun level to a whole new level.
Right, right, right. That we group. Well, we want to encourage people in any way they can to experience Victoria's energy in the 6D Money Tree program, because it's life changing. It's the perfect time to do it because of all the changes on our planet. This could be the thing that really helps you in so many ways to live a joyful life.
Yeah, and it's actually what it's doing is it is actually calling forward. A lot of people are talking right now about Nasara, Jasara, GCR, all the global currency stuff.
Uh-huh.
Not to be confused with financial reset, which is a completely different thing. But um, talking about how do we bring more prosperity onto the planet, because the guardians do have a plan for all, not even all of humanity, for all life on Earth to prosper.
Right,
And enough of us change our consciousness to a prosperity consciousness, we actually magnetize that to us.
right, right.
So the reason that this class is so important right now, is that we're magnetizing this new reality to us by changing our consciousness. We're actually attracting this prosperity consciousness, the Nasara, Jasara, into our reality.
That's right.
It's
That's
just sitting right out there,
right.
waiting for us to raise our consciousness up enough to bring it into our physical reality.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, that's a perfect way to end our show today. Victoria, I've been putting the banner with ways to get a hold of you, and I did put in the comments, but would you, for the people that are listening, could you tell everybody what's the best way to reach you and get to experience you,
Of
please?
course. The best way to reach me is at victoriareynolds.com. Easy peasy. And I do have a free book there, Rise Up. It's all about what's happening in the world right now. We're in the middle of the Great Awakening. It started in about 2019. We were talking about it 10 years ago, and it actually is here. Hundreds of millions of people have had spiritual awakenings in the last 2 years, if not even over I think we're reaching near 1 billion at this point. That's how many people have had their wake up experience. So the book is all about the Great Awakening and the ascension process. And I have one chapter dedicated just to terminology. That's for spiritual newbies who are like, I don't know what any of this stuff means. A whole chapter just with terminology. So there's that free book there. When you grab the free book, it also sets people up with my newsletter. And my newsletter is inspiration. I don't do sales letters. I don't like them. So I don't give them to my readers.
Yeah.
And it's and it shows what I'm up to in the world and the people I'm interviewing and things like that. So they're just very nice, inspirational newsletters. While you're there, I have my other books and programs. My transcendence process starts up again in January. That is based on the book that I wrote in 2012 about how to process my own awakening experience. And if you do that class, then you get the new 2012 10-year anniversary edition, which isn't published yet. I'm waiting for my publisher to publish it for me, Kathy. And then my other books are there. One of the books I recommend if you're in this money situation is my book Own Your True Worth. That is all about how to recognize where your beliefs of unworthiness come from and how to work through them. I discovered unworthiness is one of the greatest diseases that plague the human heart. As we're moving into a heart-based reality, everything I do is about healing the heart, so the heart has the capacity to work to its fullest potential and peel off all the layers of fear that have encapsulated our heart. And that's also where they'll find the link for the 60 Money Tree program.
Yay, yay. Well, and I invite everyone to click on the link that's in the comments to go to the 60 Money Tree and look at it. I think hopefully you'll see what a huge opportunity this is for you right now to make a difference for yourself, your family, your community, and the world. Because when you clear all of your obstacles to love, you won't believe how powerful a being you are. So let's co-create the new world that we want to see together. Thank you so much, Victoria. I love you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. I love you too. I can't wait to see you in person again. It's been too long.
Yeah, I know. Well, we can soon.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay. Well, bye for now. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.